Well, may I say welcome to the TACC in the house. It's now 2:04 p.m. in the Eastern Caribbean. I'm apologizing for that delay. I've already seen quite a few persons there waiting online. Today promises to be interesting as usual. And so let me welcome welcome everyone's welcome and as usual, and I believe that it is paramount of importance that I challenge each and every one of us every time when we meet, because if we are to achieve things that we have not, we must be doing things that we have not done. And it is very important that we begin to do things that we have not done to get a different result. And everything starts with the mind. Nothing that we are now seeing came out of nowhere. Every house, every car, everything that you now own, it was first given birth in the mind. And that is why I kept saying nothing is permanent. Your situation in life is not permanent. Your condition in your society, in your country, on your continent, it is not permanent. It was men that effect decisions or plant seeds that are now bearing fruits. What we are now seeing, these were thoughts that were planted that are now producing and reproducing. And so, if we want to change that narrative, we first must begin to cultivate a different thought. The scripture puts it renewing your mind. And so we have to first deal with personal development and goal setting. You must set goals that you have never done before. And in my goal setting sessions, I always told you that your goal must be clear, must be crystal clear. You must know what you want. I even went as far and said, visualizing what you want, write it down, post it on a fridge, post it in your bedroom. Do you want to go to New York? You have never been to New York. Then get a picture of your passport, post it there. Get a picture of an airport, an airline. Get a picture of New York City. Get a picture visualizing that you're already there. That's what the scripture meant when Paul says he called for those things as though they were. And so you don't get to places where you have not first given thought to. You don't achieve anything that you have not given thought to. And so we must deal with the mind. It's a terrible thing to waste. You have those that understand the power of the mind, the power of thought. These are people that harbor, that have a positive attitude. These are people that use language such as, if others can do it, so can I. I will make the time. A lot of us here want the benefit of financial freedom, benefit of being a millionaire, benefit of giving to the community. You want to have the benefit of being the lender. But the thing about it, you don't want the inconvenience of becoming what you want. You still want to be comfortable. According to Robert Kiyosaki, there are 4 different types of person, he says. Those who want to be liked, those who want to be comfortable, those that have to be right. And he said the 4th one is those who want to win. Which one are you? And so these are people that they will make the time to read the text, go through the videos and the audios, do their research. because they said to themselves, what's it worth in the long term? Visionaries and pace setters, they don't believe in short-term instant gratification projects. As I mentioned the other day, they do not believe in short-term gain for long-term pain. They don't. They believe in long-term gain for short-term pain. And so on the opposite of that, now you have those, which is the majority of us, we always have a negative attitude. Like this morning, I was exercising, and one of my former co-worker, I remember that we used to work together. Then, of course, I became manager, supervising her. Then I rehired her when the hotel reopened up. And so I saw her this morning, and I said, and then we start to talk. And then she began to say, this old woman. I said, hold on a minute. You and I supposed to be the same age. So where did you get about that you're an old person? I said, stop curse yourself. And that is what we do. She could not be more than her maybe 49, between 49 and 53. And she's saying that she is an old person. Oh, not this old. And so these are people that have negative attitude, using language such as, it's too hard. Have you heard them? I don't have time. They don't have time to take 5 or 10 minutes a day to create financial freedom, because cryptocurrency showed us that we can transform our lives and our children's lives. Cryptocurrency showed us, and it proved that, because Eric Finman, I will never stop calling his name. Eric Finman is a perfect example to what cryptocurrency can do with a dropout at the age of 15, with not even a diploma. And today he is advising PhD students. And so these are people, it's too hard. I don't have the time, or I can't afford it. It's too expensive. But they can drink all night. They can spend money on alcohol, dance, and fete, and clothes, and name brand. But to invest in oneself, not to spend, no, to invest, they will spend money on things that does not appreciate. But to take up $20, $50 to invest, and that is what Dr. Lee says, that we are primarily consumers. She says they are still our slaves. That's what she says. They are still our slaves. They do not have chains around their neck nor their ankles, but they are still our slave. We can create any outlandish product and create billions from us because we are primarily consumers. And they don't worry about us, because she says that there are 3 things that contained us: greed, selfishness, and ignorance. And so I will leave the personal development session here, but it is very important that, you know, we understand that we need to take time. We need to take time to do things differently. All right. Regional, yes, we had some positions that were being filled today. Some regional, okay, I think I might have to do that. All right, so let me share my screen. I hope I get it right. This is some house cleaning, you know. All right, so we have Miss Krabby. She is our presently or former, I must say now, because I think the transaction already done today. She was our executive national coordinator in South Africa. I must say I am impressed with how the executive of South Africa, how they were able to pull it together. At one point I was, hearing some rumblings of people being, sidelines and all these things, but further investigation shows that this lady is doing a sterling job, or had done a sterling job with that executive, and she has now been promoted to our regional executive director with several countries under her belt. And so I want to congratulate her. Also, we filled another regional position today. That's one of our leaders already. He's no stranger. That is Bishop Godswill there, Uchi. And so he also filled the regional executive position for West Africa. So all those countries in West Africa, Bishop is now responsible for the leadership in TACC. And the southern section, as I mentioned before, goes to Madam Perry. So TACC is moving. TACC is a moving chain. All right. So I just want to thank all of them for their sterling contribution to TACC. Now, I want our brothers and sisters and our friends and associates, because TAG is an all-inclusive chain. When we started this chain, when we started this foundation, when we were challenged, and the challenge was put to Mr. Abundance to create your coin. By the way, the coin is called the Abundance Community Coin, but I did not name it. I just want the people who are now coming on to know my two suggestions were thrown down because they were coins already existed, the name. And so even the name, the Abundance, a matter of fact, I didn't even really want it to be called the Abundance Coin. But the community says the Abundance Coin it will be, and that the voice of the people must prevail. And so today we are now realizing what unity of purpose did. TACC is a perfect example of unity, and with unity, the problems that we can solve. There's no problem that we cannot solve in unity, and that is what they don't want us to understand. But TACC has demonstrated from the foundation, not only did we have unity, we had a mission and a vision of the future of what we want and what we do not want. Because it's one thing to know exactly what you want, and it's another thing to know what you do not want. And so we knew exactly from the start what we did not want. And so we came together from across continent, black, yellow, blue, orange, and we created what we have now today in the name of TACC. And so our social programs, what my brothers and sisters, especially across the continent of Africa, what we are now doing, you are now inviting our conscious sisters and brothers, our Afro-Caribbean brothers and sisters, Afro-Caribbean diaspora, and our brothers and sisters that may not have our ethnicity. And what we are now doing, we are saying to those who are yet to come on board that we are on a mission to eradicate malaria from among us. And so you are now invited to join us to invest in this project of rollback malaria. You have now joined us to invest in the Afro-Caribbean International Musical and Culture and Trade Festival. You're now joining us to invest in the Afro-Caribbean Cup of Nations. Now, these are social programs that will allow institutional investors to look at TACC more than once, more than twice. These are programs that will give government and government officials a reason to buy in and to endorse. We want the African Union to endorse TACC so that TACC become the cryptocurrency, the foreign cryptocurrency. I know that you use D in front of a vowel, but we want Africa, we want the governments of Africa to see TACC as their foreign digital reserve currency, one that appreciates. That is what we want. And so when you are talking about TACC, it's not about only buy 2 coins today and you can double your money in a month, or you can quadruple your money in 4 months. No, we are more than just the money. We are affecting lives. We are saving life. That is our mission. And that is what we must push. Forget about the coin, because the coin will, the programs will sell the coin. And so you're now invited, your brothers and sisters across continent, we are now inviting you to participate, to invest with us, to roll back malaria that are killing every 30 seconds a child die in Africa, all because of malaria. And so this is what you're now invited to do with us, to pool our resources together. And based on your contribution and your investment that you give, you will be recorded with TACC coins. And so if you give $100, you get 400 coins. Look at Bitcoin today. Bitcoin started out in 2009. In that year, it was at what? 0.003 of a cent. Look at it today, over 9,000 US. And there's nobody that is pushing it. It's just there on its own without any leadership. TACC has so much more positive than Bitcoin. We are a global organization with a global team. You know, I showed you the other day, and I need to show you again for those of you who may be just watching for the first time. This is a global organization. This is our team from Nigeria, from Cameroon, from the DRC Republic, from St. Lucia, from the USA, from Europe. We are a global team. And may I welcome Leandra. She's the last director to be promoted, responsible for social services, philanthropy, and women affairs. We want to welcome her. And apart from the directors, we have our advisors, Professor Prince, Mr. Goodman. And if that is not enough, I want you to look at our country managers. These are executive coordinators in the country that have executive and has, when I say executive, at all levels, regional, sub-regional, state, province, local government. in Nigeria, in Cameroon, in Ghana, in Togo, in Uganda, in Papua New Guinea, in Kenya, in Liberia, in South Africa, in the Bahamas, Trinidad and Tobago, Canada, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, the Virgin Islands, Mozambique, Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, Gambia, United Kingdom, Rwanda, Angola, South Africa, France, and the list goes on. These are all our managers on the field. This is not an overnight thing. We did a lot of work. May I say, we were in the trenches for many months digging. And that is why when we fully come from beneath the surface, the world is going to be in shock and awe, because it wasn't expecting this. They wasn't expecting this. And so this is the impact that we will have on the globe with our social programs. Our vision is to ensure that the governments of the Caribbean and Africa legalize and adopt TACC in their countries. After all, we are showing them that we are in a position, when we unite, to pay off the debts that you now owe, not only to Africa, but your other debtors. And so we're talking about settling the debt. This is 21 minutes. Settling the debt. How are you going to do it, Mr. Abundance? Now, quite a few things that you need to know. Let's look at our debt that we have. I think I pulled that up earlier, but I may have okay, so we're going to look at our what they're saying here about Africa, and I'm going to share my screen as well, so that you can actually follow with me. And so we have, and by the way, this is in our white paper actually. The mission of the Abundance Coin is to become the alternate financial solution to settle Afro-Caribbean debt to China, and to create global financial stability for all peoples who have been handed generational lack, scarcity, poverty, and man-made diseases by design. So TACC is a global coin. And so we talk about Africa's debt burden. It should be duly noted that 18 African countries have been classified by the World Bank as having a high risk of debt stress, with the estimated debt consisting of about 417 billion US dollars, or about 317 billion pounds. The Jubilee Debt Campaign, a charity which campaigns for cancellation of poor countries' debt, reported that China alarmingly owns an estimated 20% of Africa's external debt. This owner percentage, when added to existing state and commercial loans, placed Africa's total debt to China to be in excess of $140 billion back in 2017. And they said, imagine what the figure could be at the end of 2020. It says, sadly, this makes China Africa's largest single creditor. So being faced with this current debt situation, what can African countries do to remove this stranglehold from around their neck? One logical solution would be to simply buy back the debt from Africa and other debt holders' nation. You might now ask the very legitimate question, by what fiscal process or procedure may debt-ridden African countries buy back debt from their debt holders? That's the question. Well, this is where we come in. This is where TACC come into the rescue. And so we have established that the Africans' total debt is around 417 billion US dollar. Now, we have decided to allocate 100 million coins for African debt, you can say Afro-Caribbean debt relief. We have a work to do. That 100 million coins that was allocated to service the complete debt of Africa is not only to China. We are paying 100% of Africa's debt. That is what the politicians need to know. That is what leadership needs to know. We have decided in TACC to pay 100% the debt for Africa and for the Caribbean using cryptocurrency. Bitcoin showed us that $15 invested 11 years ago, today, you would have cashed out 40 million US dollars. I'm talking about $15. And so, TACC, with the foundation that we now have, we are saying that we will rise this value to 4,500 a TACC. When TACC becomes that value, and by the way, it's not a pie in the sky. Bitcoin went to almost 20,000 for one coin in 2017. 2 years ago, it is now over 9,000 or near 9,000 right now. So TACC becoming 4,500, it is nothing with the mass adoption that we will receive with all those countries in Africa using TACC as a medium of exchange for goods and services, with those countries in Africa and the Caribbean holding TACC as their foreign crypto digital, because all the countries are soon going digital, by the way. They have to go digital, but their currency remain the same value. TACC now will give them a better option to hold TACC, because when government buy TACC, for example, at $1, that is okay, 1 million TACC. Maybe some country may have 1 million, okay, $1 million. When TACC goes to $3, how much million do that country has now? 3 million. When TACC goes to $7, how many million the country now has in dollars? 7 million. So do you see what TACC can do? Their digital currency remain at the same price, and probably due to inflation will lose its value, but TACC will be rising. And that is what we need to understand. When we say we are settling the debt of Africa, you are also settling your personal debt, because when the coin goes to 4,500, how many coins would you have? Times 4,500. Begin to calculate. This is what we're talking about. So don't look at what TACC is doing. TACC is here, and it is a divinely intervention. The way how TACC came into place, it was supernatural. TACC is bigger than Mr. Abundance. It is bigger than any country. It is bigger than any continent. And so we will strategize to bring one coin to 4,500. When the coin is at 4,500, that 100 million coin will now value 450 billion. I am saying to the house, you have no excuse from today to look to the east and look to the west. I said TACC must become the lender for the African and the Caribbean country, and may I say to the world, I said TACC must become the lender, not the borrower. And that is why our first order will be to buy back those loans from China and get China out of Africa. Return the assets of the country to our people. If they want help, we will go and help them in China. If they want help in Russia, we will go and help them, because we will be the lender. We will be the lender. And so that is how we're going to do it. And that is why we have our slogan, one TACC, one child, one TACC, one child, one youth, one TACC. Because we want that when we're rising, that we're rising everyone. We have 31 days remaining in the first round of sale. As you know, we went to the public, and once this 31 days ended, the coin will now be sold at 50 cents. That is why I am urging you, don't be a penny wise and a pound foolish. This is the time for you to bring your 10 people that bring their 10. We are in the first round. And the interesting thing is, if we raise the 2.5 million in our first round, it means that we go straight to the exchange. Going straight to the exchange, whatever coin you now bought at 25 cents will now go straight to $1. That is what going to the exchange mean. And so some of you have 3,000, 300,000, 265,000 coin that you would have bought for 5,000 US. 5,000 US. The first day TACC goes on the market, that 5,000 now appreciate to 265,000. Do you see what we're talking about here? So when I said to you that we will pay the debt and we will be the lender, I said TACC will be the lender, and we will produce what we eat, and we will eat what we produce. There's too much lands. All right. Membership status. All right. So let me go to the membership status, because as you know, we're talking about, we want to put, let me share my screen again. I guess this is going to be the last time. We're talking about, we want 10 million persons in TACC. And this is the breakdown in 140 days. And so where are we today? We started out in March 30th. And we say within 140 days, we should put 10 million people in TACC, and we can do it. And so the first 40 days have gone. We are now at the beginning of the 60 days. And that started 2 days ago on the 11th of May. Now, how many people we should have in TACC so far if we're on target? It says here we should have by the end of these 60 days, we should have 1,000 person. So it says here by the end of the 31st of May, we should have 1,000 person, which is 100 people would have brought on 10 persons each. And don't forget, when they brought it, when you bring that 10 must each look for their 10 person. That is what we said that we're going to do, because we want to create value. We want to position ourselves and to ensure that the people that need TACC most get it at this point. And so we just ended our 40-day, as you can see, on the 10th of May, and we started the 60 days now with at May 11th, and we should have 1,000. Now let's see how much person do we have so far as members. So let me go to the official chart, and so we now have 2,053 total users. So we are ahead of schedule. All right, we are ahead of schedule. So however, the next 20 days to make 80 is going to be the test for us. Now we are ahead with 3,000 members, but the third round, or the fourth, no, 1, 2, 3, yeah, that fourth, no, you can say the next 60 days, will tell us who we really are and how serious we are. All right? And so go out and duplicate. And we're saying, even with a minimum of $5, even with a minimum of $5 US, $5 US give you now 20 coins. If you had 20 Bitcoin today, how much that would have been? Huh? How much that would have been? What, 180,000 US dollars? Just like that. So let us do what we have to do, knowing that this opportunity will not pass our way again. All right. Question and answer. All right. So let's go to the board. Good evening, Mr. Abundance and the house. Good evening, sir. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, Tiashens. Yunana Ekui. Good evening. Good evening, TJ Books. Good evening, house. Good evening. Good evening, Nosafo Krebi. That's our newly appointed regional executive director for Southern Africa. Let me see her countries. Let me let you know the countries that she's responsible for. So, Miss Nosifo Krebi, she's responsible for Angola, Botswana, Lesotho, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, Swaziland, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. So, and Bishop Godswill, he's responsible for Benin, Burkina Faso, Gambia, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, Ivory Coast, Liberia, Mali, Mauritania, Nigeria. So Tommy and Principe, Senegal, Sierra Leone, the islands of the Cape Verde, the islands of St. Helena, and Togo. So that is our regional West and Southern Africa. Always glad to be here from Blessings, here listening to you and to be in the midst of this progressive visionary people. We are blessed. Thank you very much. Good day and good day all. Blessings. Good day to you, sir. Mr. Luke, good evening. No particular Luke, good evening. House of Tiashin. Sir Gabriel, good evening. Mr. Bonus, entire community, good evening. Lizika, good evening. Mr. Bonus and Tiashin in the house. Yes, good evening. Mr. Bonus and Tiashin, good morning, and God bless us all as we go forward. Yes, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Abundance. Good evening to everybody in the house. Good evening, my son. Good evening, Mr. Abundance. Let me raise my glass to all the future millionaires and billionaires in the house. That is Prosperous Prince. And that aircraft that you see there, while I was hosted by him in Birmingham, he thought that he should take me around Birmingham. We should go into that aircraft. Oh dear me. Oh Prince, I tell you. But I put it out to the forum, and no one supported that. No one supported that move. Bishop, good evening, Mr. Abundance and the global community of Tiashin. Thank God for the confidence repose in me. Together we can and together we will. Thank you, Bishop. You're doing an excellent job over there in Nigeria. We want now to network as you have done. I'm quite impressed with what you told me this morning, because you know I also went into that group based on your invitation, but I left. But now that you know you have basically now turning that group into Tiashins, and hopefully that we will have more leaders throughout Africa as a result of that group. So this is the time for networking. We have to take down every country in Africa, every country in the Caribbean, every country in the world, ban none. All right. But we have a target audience. You must have a target audience. When you have a radio or a program, everybody hears it, but you know who you're targeting. It's just like advertising. Everybody's invited, but you have a main target audience. And that is why, you know, those car dealers that are selling expensive cars, they know their target audience. They're talking to everybody, but they know their target audience. Good evening, Mr. Abundance, and to all the Tiashans. Good evening, Kimba. Happy to have each and every one of you. And so as we wrap it up, Kalimba, hi, my people. Yes, good evening. Johnny the Bank, good evening, great Tiashans in the house. I would like to know if the window of compensating some of us who have completed our 10 people with the second arm. By the way, I did not promise anything in the second round. I made the challenge for those who did it in the first 20 days. Just like I mentioned in the foundation that those who invested on the first day of November when we started, that TACC will double the investment. And we kept that. We promise made, promise kept. And I said in the first round of the 20 days, those who bring the 10, you will be rewarded. And I did just that. And so you're now asked to multiply yourself, because every time you multiply yourself, you're also being rewarded with 7% coin. I think you're not going to see them now, but at a later date. I think I was shown an app that everybody will be given so you can claim your coins. So don't worry about the instant now. Worry about expanding the base. That should be your worry. Let's not be locked down with minor details. Look at the bigger picture, and the small details will work themselves out. Always look at the bigger picture. And what is the bigger picture? To raise the 2.5 million at the quickest possible time to get us to the market publicly, so we can do the things that we want to do with the coin. That is the bigger picture. Why burden with the small details and lose sight of the big picture? So I want to suggest that we have TACC design in such a way that we have a genealogy that show everyone in my network, both direct and indirect. Mr. Bank, you're going to give me some of that money so that I can do all that. I'm also of the opinion that for all the countries represented in TACC, we should have their flags attached to them. Good suggestion. Bonsoir. Bonsoir. I'm Francais. Mr. Abundance, oh dear me. Now somebody need to read this one for me. But I think the person is saying, good evening, Mr. Abundance. Salute to the house. And he also blessed the house. That's what I'm picking up. I'm not Frencho. And so I think that is what he's saying. He's greeting Mr. Abundance. He's greeting the house. He's giving us his blessing and all that stuff. So we thank you. I hope I saved myself. I never took Frencho. Good evening, Mr. Abundance and Tiash in the house. Continue to move forward always. All right. So I want to thank every one of you for being here. And we will do this again, I think, on Sunday. So you're invited Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. West African time. Somebody just posed a question there. Mr. Abundance, what is the case scenario if each round knowing the bigger picture is to raise 2.5. Mr. What are the case scenarios in each round, knowing the bigger picture is to raise to? I'm not fully understanding your question, but regards to the rounds, there are 3 rounds of which started in March. And these rounds are procedures that we must do to certify the coin in the market, not to legalize the coin. It's already a legal entity, but to certify it so that it can trade with other coins. So the first round ends in June, second round ends in September, where the coin is at 50 cents. The third round ends in December, the coin is at 75 cents. Now, if we made the 2.5 in the first round, I can now cancel all other 2 rounds and we go straight to the exchange. And so when we go straight to the exchange, then we will have a strategy where people buy and hold instead of buy and dump. You see, we have to create scarcity, and that is why even though there are X amount of coin in TACC, those coins will not be available to be purchased. They might be in the market, but they will not be available. And so you must create scarcity, and that is why it's important that you buy and hold and allow the value of the coin to appreciate, knowing that we are expecting every country in Africa and the Caribbean and then in Europe to hold this as the digital foreign exchange, because this coin will be held by more people in the world than any other coin. All right. So I want to thank you again. Good evening, Mr. Abundance and TACC community. Yes, Eric, we want to thank all of you. And let us go out and do what we have to do. Duplicate yourself. Life is a fight for territory. If you fail to fight for what you want, what you do not want will take over. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy your day. Be blessed. This is Mr. Abundance.